Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, April 11th, 2022, and we are having some good weather right now. I don't know if you heard that hiss. I turned off the air compressor tonight. I turned it off early, so the airs are leaving off of the little check valve on the side. Kind of took me off guard there for a second. But I don't know if you heard that, but I heard it. Anyway, it is a it's been a pretty nice weekend, let's say. A little chilly Saturday and Sunday in the morning, and today it's getting better, and I think the rest of the week it's going to continue to be nice. And of course, here in Georgia, nice could be relative. You know, um, I think got around 70 today, somewhere in that range. And even though I like the warmer weather, I'm not looking for 90 degrees or 90. I don't want any of that. It's a little uncomfortable. But anyway, it's spring is here. Spring is here. And I did see on the news that the out in the Midwest that there's going to be some crazy weather coming over the next couple days or few days, and it's working its way east. So any of you out there, if you're in that area, be prepared. It sounds like it's going to be a real doozy out there. Um, let's see who's here tonight. Well, right off the bat, Terry Keithley was in here early. Hi everyone, and Barry, please hit the like and thumbs up button for Barry. Thank you. Thank you. And he says, sorry, Barry, for the misspell. Now, you did hear the little bell there. Let me announce that real quick. On these live streams, I do my little bell. Usually it's for a good question and a good answer, that sort of thing. If you have a question, I encourage you to ask it. It could be about classic cars. Primarily that's what we focus on: Mustangs, Camaros, Mopars, whatever. Stuff from the 60s up into early 70s we try to focus on. And, a good answer gets a bell. Sometimes it's me that gives the answer. Sometimes it's people over there, over there, over there, over there, on that side in the chat box. So thank you, Terry, for being here. Jerry, good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Good to have you here, Jerry. Dennis Paulson, hello, Barry and gang. Glad you're here. Ed Cucciarella, hope all are doing well. Ron Bell, greetings everyone from the Tri-Cities in Northeast Tennessee. Glad you're here. Crash Rider from Wacky Weather, Southern Indiana. Good evening to everyone. This project is a real eye-opener to check and double-check everything before welding. Let's keep Joe Daddy happy and give him a thumbs up. Yes, by all means, thumbs up this video. And that way YouTube will share it with other people, and we can have people join us and keep it growing. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Crash Rider. This car, and the whole process of putting it together and all that sort of thing, I can't stress enough. Making sure that each panel is going to fit and do its job. And I will point out I had a little bit of a stress earlier. This over the weekend. I've been working on this side, and things look really good, and they still do. The driver's side is looking really good. I turned the car around for the next part of the video series, which will be working on the passenger side, and I had a conflict, and I shared this on my with my patrons. In the wheel opening, the wheel arch, the tire and wheel assembly, on this side, it was almost dead center between the front and the rear. And on the passenger side, it was offset to the front. Sorry, my nose is itching. Offset to the front, like an inch difference. And I was like, something's not right. Well, this car, when I picked it up, there was no rear end in it. The guy had sold it. And thankfully I had another one, and I took it over there and we put it underneath the car, and he helped me put it back in the car, and we just did that so we could roll it out of his garage. Well, I didn't really pay attention to him putting his side together, let's say. I focused on getting, the axle in place, or the housing, getting the bracket in place, and of course you're going to have a center bolt. And it varies from different types of designs. So with the leaf spring, you're going to have a center bolt. It could be on the bottom. It could be on the top. They do it different ways. So anyway, I put the thing in on. I'm pretty sure I put the passenger side in, and he put the driver's side in. So as I was looking at the car, and I'm thinking, what is wrong with where this housing is placed? And I was thinking, is there something wrong with the car? Like, I didn't feel like the car was out of shape. I know it's square. Whatever happened to the damage to it didn't affect the shape of the body or twist it or anything like that. So I'm pulling out the tape measure and I'm measuring this and I'm measuring that and I'm measuring this. Man, this thing is off like an inch. What is going on here? And I thought for sure it was the passenger side that was off. Just that's the way I saw it. That it was too tight. The tire was towards the rocker panel, and it was a pretty snug gap. Like my hand would just fit in there. But on the driver's side, it was like an inch wider than my hand. So again, I was thinking, this is the problem. It's on the passenger side. So as I kept digging and I measured, I even decided to take and draw a tape from the front suspension, check the wheelbase side to side. And it was off. And I'm thinking, okay, what is going on here? I just kept racking my brain. Finally, I unbolted the housing. I unbolted it it has a monoleaf springs. And I unbolted it and I started looking at it and I was like, well, this thing needs to slide, the passenger side needs to slide back a little so that it can match the driver's side. Well, I looked underneath and of course it had the center post, the guide pin sticking down out of the leaf spring. And the axle sits on top of the leaf spring and the plate that mounts underneath has a hole in it with a rubber bushing, a rubber piece that centers it. I even went so far as to look up one of my old videos. I looked up the black 68 Camaro, and I was like, okay, the bracket mounts this way, in case there was something out of shape with the way the bracket's mounted. And everything was right. Well, it turns out the passenger side was actually correct because the center pin was right in the right location. I took apart the driver's side, and it was off. So when it was put in, when I went to the guy's house, he must have pushed it forward or pushed it back actually and mounted the thing. So the pin, the little rubber bushing, there's a rubber strip with a little cup in the center. It's broken. But the bolts were never made super tight. They were just snugged on just to, get it mobile. So now I moved the driver's side forward and everything lines up. Everything is dead on. So I figured it out. But, again, this car, when I got it, you saw in the videos, the initial videos, this thing was just torn all apart. And I didn't go through at that time and measure this and measure that and double check things. But now I'm having to do those because when it comes to fitting these quarters and the rocker panel and all those things, everything needs to be correct. And now I feel much better about it. But, I had a little moment of stress. I'm thinking, well, is there something wrong with the perch? Is the leaf spring manufactured wrong? I even measured the distance to the pin and all that stuff. It's all good. It's all good. So anyway, kind of a story there for you. Rick Stevenson says, howdy, everyone. Glad you're here, Rick. Troy, hey, gang. I hope everyone had a good week. Yeah, it's been a pretty good, good. Last week was a good week. Working on this week, though. David Outdoor 74. Hey, Barry. Glad you're here, David. Rick Gain, howdy ho, boys and girls. It's howdy doody time. Glad you're here, Rick. Ralph Burrows, hello, everyone, from Central Virginia. Welcome, Ralph. Troy Johnston, hi from Australia, Barry. Hope you're well, mate. Awesome. Hey, Troy. Usually, I was doing the live streams on Mondays and Thursdays, and that's kind of gone away, let's say. And usually I get my followers from different parts of the world on Thursdays. But I'm glad you're here, Troy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Simone, Hooked on Classics. Hi, Barry there, and chat. Glad you're here, Simone. Aaron E., evening all. Welcome. Dawn's Manufactory. Hello, Barry and everybody from Snowy PDX. Snowy, you can have it. Hey, Wayne. Glad you're here, buddy. I'll give you a bell. First time being here. Appreciate it. Douglas, Weingarten. First time here for me. I just picked up a 65 Coupe thinking about making it a fastback. Any thoughts? Love your content. Watch all the Brooklyn Pony and any new content from that coming up. Thanks. Okay. Well, welcome. I guess, is it Doug or Douglas? I want to make sure I get that right. I know you have Douglas on there, but I'm going to a lot of people go by Doug. So you're thinking about making it a fastback. Any thoughts? Yes. I have several. I've looked at doing a fastback conversion on a 67 coupe that I have. And I've seen people do a sort of fastback conversion where they take like the roof structure from a fastback that's been wrecked or rusted out, and they just kind of merge it onto a coupe. Not a fan of that. I don't like the way that's done. I mean, people have done it, and then they, whatever. For me, I would rather buy the panels, buy the full quarter, buy all the pieces and parts, do the conversion. Now, there are some videos on YouTube that I've seen and some ideas for you. Like the Camaro I'm working on, the A-pillar, the whole side of the car I'm having to replace. And they sell that for the Mustangs as a fastback. They sell that whole side panel. It's gotten pretty expensive. I did see a video the other day where somebody had bought the individual pieces and they just kind of put them together themselves rather than buy the whole side. That's a little risky in my opinion. I like to see something that's built on a jig, and I don't think you can come up with a jig to put all these, individual pieces together. However, one thing I did like in a video that I saw was they had bought the whole side piece, and up at the front where the A-pillar comes up and it joins the roof line, there is basically an overlap of material. So you have the A-pillar that comes up, creates a pocket, and then what would be the roof line piece sits in that pocket, one way or another. What I like about what they did was they unwelded, let's say, drilled out those welds and removed that piece and left the A-pillar in place. The beauty of that is if you have a good structure and it's not damaged or rusted out, why take it off? Leave it together. And then they took the A-pillar off of the new piece and just merged those pieces back together and welded on the upper half, let's say, of the body. They left the rocker in place and they left the inner structure in place. To me, it's a much more efficient way to do that. But, it's up to you and how you want to pursue it. But I would look at getting the pieces and putting it together. As far as the Brooklyn Pony, that car is, let's just say, dead in the water. Had issues with having parts provided to me. Came to an agreement, let's say, with the owner, and I am not working on that car anymore. Just not. It became just a frustration point for me, and I kept asking for parts and all these different things, and I kept waiting for parts and all this stuff, and it just fell apart. So it is what it is. I'm not going to be working on that car anymore. But good questions. Thank you for being here. Shane, hello all from rainy southwestern Pennsylvania. Glad you're here, Shane. Cool Store 187. Hi, Barry. Can listen but not watch. Good morning from New Zealand. All right, awesome. Glad you're here, and I'm glad you're listening at least. Rick Stevenson, sunny and 79 in Jacksonville tonight. Ooh, that's nice and warm. That's pretty good. Wes Perry, hello from Johnson City, Tennessee. Love the Camaro build, Joe Daddy. Yes, I'm glad. And I'm happy to be working on this car. I can't tell you. I did the first video on this car, I think in 2014. And then I had Mustang projects come in. And, I enjoyed doing those. But this car has just been lingering and eating at me over time. It's like I either need to get rid of it or I need to finish it. And I've already, I have all the parts. I've had all the parts sitting here for years with the car. So I decided, it's time for me time. So anyway, once the Camaro gets put together, it's probably going to be put up for sale. At this point, I don't plan to do a full build on it. I just want to do the body work, get the sheet metal right, make sure the doors open and close correctly, make sure the glass is going to fit, all that stuff, and then probably put it up for sale. But I'm glad you're enjoying the build. Ish, hello everyone. Glad you're here, man. Dave Conville, good evening all. Glad you're here, Dave. Troy, always happy to see another Troy on the stream. Welcome, Troy Johnston. Yeah, well, you know what? You both get a bell. Charlie, hello, Barry, and all. Enjoy your work on the Camaro. When is part 8 coming out? Well, I have to finish filming it. As it is, I'm putting out I'm trying to do it to where I'm now putting out a video on basically Saturdays. So I'm trying to work on it through the week, build it up, get the video made, and put it on Saturdays. So that's the plan. I've been trying to do some other things in between. There's plenty of other things that keep me busy, and trying to take care of this in a thought process. As I'm approaching the passenger side, it's going to get a little more complicated. And I know everybody's looking at it going, wait a minute, more complicated than the driver's side? And in effect, yes. And a reason for that, and I'm going to go over this in the video as well, is it's almost easier, in my opinion, to replace the whole side of the car than it is to do what I'm going to have to do on the other side, which is replace the rocker panel and the outer wheelhouse before I put the quarter on. And if you saw the video, if you looked at the videos of how I did the rocker panel, took them apart and everything on the driver's side, you can imagine what's going to be on the passenger side, because I have to I'm going to leave the A-pillar in place. This side came with everything, and it's going to be a little more interesting. So I'll figure it out. But anyway, it'll be coming out. Next video will be out. Should be out Saturday. Good question though. Thank you, Charlie. Rick, is the owner of the Brooklyn Pony interested in selling it as is? I don't know. I really don't know. I have not heard from him. I have not heard from him in like 2 months. At least probably over maybe 3 months now. I don't know. It's crazy. I have no idea. Bob Noel, hello Barry from Detroit. Glad you're here, Bob. Simone saying about parts, I was due to collect some this evening and I just remembered I completely forgot. Well, that's not good. That's not good at all. Got to get your parts. Wes, I will be doing a similar Camaro build, using the quarter window structures on a 69 soon, in process of building a frame jig. Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, using a frame jig. It's very handy, very handy. So if you can get one together, I recommend it. Aaron, did you catch that text intro of basket case number 7? Said Jade. Yeah, you know what? Let me tell you what happened with that. My editing software is Wondershare Filmora. People have asked me before, and that's what I use. And that I've had that program. They update it every so often. Basically, like, I get ready to start doing my editing, and I turn on the program, and it'll say, update, start, whatever, do you want to do this update? And normally I just kind of skip it, and I decided, okay, I'm better update. Maybe some bugs that it has to fix. Well, I hit the update button. Now, mind you, I've had, I don't know how many versions of this has been updated over the years, really. If you look at my videos, probably 2000, maybe even 2014, somewhere in that range, I was using a very simple editing software, and then I updated to this Wondershare. Well, as it turns out, I have like the first version of Wondershare on my computer, and then I updated to the later version, and it created a whole nother program on my computer. And every time I've updated it, it said it changes it. It's supposed to be like version 9. Well, it continues to say version 9, but now it's already up to version 11 or 11.1 or 11.2 or something. Anyway, so what happened was I went to upload, update the system, and it just went, it just like disappeared. Now here's the problem. I have saved files in the program. I have like my logo is in there. My opening, like if I do a viewer's project, I have an opening sequence in that. I have my titles. I have my end sequence and all that stuff. So I have all that stuff saved. Well, the thing just kind of went away, and I was panicking because I had a lot of stuff in there. I have music saved in there. I have just whatever, have it all formatted. So I had to go back on the Wondershare website, log in, download, and it took forever. and I was running out of time for my video because I was editing it on Saturday for the output. So finally, it loaded. But when it did, there was nothing there. None of my saved format, none of my pictures, none of my music, nothing was there. And I started panicking even more because I thought, oh no, now I got to redo all this stuff. So I went and I clicked on a button that said, file, check for update or something. I don't remember. And it did. And all of my stuff reappeared. But my time window was getting smaller to get the video out. So the opening you see there for where it says Jade, Declit, or whatever, that is one that I saved, and I just put it in as a space filler, and then I put my logo in, and then I start making the videos, and I stack them up, and I edit, and all that stuff. So unfortunately, I didn't remember to edit my title because I create a new title every time, or edit that title every time, and I didn't do it. I was just panicking. I was like, I got to get this done. So several people had noticed that, and I don't know that it's even necessarily that important. I could just have a generic something there, but I try to label everything so that people see what it is. But anyway, that's what happened, and you get a bell for noticing. Third stall. Hey, Barry, sorry I missed you when I was in Georgia for spring break back in, I think, is that Michigan now? And back to the underside repairs on my 66 Mustang. Sorry the Brooklyn Pony went south. Those videos really helped me. Yeah, I've had those videos were very helpful to a lot of people. I've had some recent interaction with some people who sent me pictures, whether it be on Facebook, on my Joe Daddy page, or directly to me in emails and different stuff. And somebody they sent me a link or pictures of their convertible that they did. They basically built their car the same way I demonstrated, and they have actually had it on a rotisserie with a bunch of cross bracing and stuff held in. It was really nice looking, and so those videos have helped a lot of people, and I just it's unfortunate that it didn't work out, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with all that right now. So, sorry I missed you. Maybe you make it down to Georgia. If you're headed to Florida or something, you could check in with me again. Troy, have you found anything idle square on the Camaro since it was rolled? I haven't. And I say that I say the car was rolled, but I don't know for sure. It was obviously damaged. The guy told me that it was rolled. So that's the only information I had to go by. Now, it may have had a tree fall on it, and somebody told him it was rolled, and he bought it. I don't know. But I can tell you this. Wherever it was at, I don't know if you could tell by any of the videos, but this thing was full of dirt. Just like every time I hit it with a hammer, there's dirt falling out of this thing. And it was in weird places, like between the tail panel and the inner piece that I was taking out all the spout welds. There was dirt falling out of there. And I mean, like, almost like it was in water and had been, muddy and stuff. And now it's just, everything's coming out of it. But not that really means anything. I don't know. But I haven't found anything yet that doesn't line up, like it should. So things are looking pretty good with it. But good question, Troy. Let's see. Let me see. Okay, sorry, I had a text come in. Troy Johnson. Troy, would love to see you do a truck one day, Barry, F100 or C10. Well, yeah, I wouldn't be against that. I used to build, the 67 to 72 model trucks. I built several of those over the years. In fact, if you look, where am I pointing? Over here. Yeah. There's 3 pictures on that picture set over there. It was 70 that I did that had a 454 in it, automatic. It was lowered, pretty cool truck. And I'm trying to find, I don't know if I have that. Let me see if I can find that picture. I'm trying to find a truck that I had. I had a 72 Chevy short bed 4x4, and like a dummy, I sold the thing. This was back in the early '90s. I know the name of the guy that I sold it to, and I know that we were in. We took welding courses at a school south of me, but all I've ever heard about that from some other people is said that they saw the truck somewhere and it was parked, and he had pulled the engine out of it. And I was like, "Where is this truck?" So anyway, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing one of those, but I did several over the years. I've had, gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 of those trucks in the 67 to 72 range. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting into one. Rick, Barry, I'll give you 20,000 for it. Well, it's not up to me. It's not up to me by any means, and he's got a lot more than that tied up in it. That I can tell you. Charlie West, what plans are you using for the jig, or is this your own design? Okay, so that's a question to Wes about his jig setup for his Camaro. Rick, I've seen one standard car. It's an excellent foundation. I would even want you to finish it. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I mean it's a great car. It is a great car, but as it is, it needs to go somewhere else. I don't. I'm so frustrated with the whole situation that I don't know if somebody could pay me enough right now to work on that car. Honestly. Terry checking in from Pinellas Park, Florida. Glad you're here. Leonard, evening all. How's everyone doing? Glad you're here, Leonard. How are you how's the high desert right now? Still good? I know, like I said, we were talking about it. There's a bunch of storms coming out across the Midwest. Wes Perry, hey Charlie. Oh, I'm going to use a design that Mr. Fireman used in his videos. He has several videos on building his jig, but I need to get measurements. Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you haven't checked out Mr. Fireman, he's got some great stuff on the Camaro build. Jersey Mike, if it rolled, it was a soft rollover. That's what I'm thinking too, because normally one of these cars gets rolled. Now, I say normally, one of these cars gets rolled, you're going to see some twisting or something like that. But we also know the Camaro, it's a different animal. If you look at how the thing's put together, how overlapped and complex all the pieces are, compared to a Mustang, this almost feels like it's twice as strong, honestly, as the structure of a Mustang. Now, granted, I mean like the early Mustangs. This being a 68, of course, 67, 68, and 9 are basically the same car, but I still think that when they were building this car, which actually was being worked on in 66, the first generation, it was called the Panther. Whenever they were building that car, they were kind of looking to build something to compete with the Mustang. I really feel like what any of the car manufacturers do and did they would buy one of those cars from a dealership somewhere, probably just a regular Mustang, take it back to their facility and tear it apart, dissect it, and figure out what's good, what's bad, what they liked and what didn't like, and modify and improve to try to make a better car. I think they all did that. So when you look at this and you compare it to the 65 and 6 Mustang, which would have been where they started from, in my opinion, because this came out, this body came out in 67, but they were designing it in 66. So again, it went to the first generation of Mustang, I think. But this thing feels like it's a lot tougher overall with all the complex panels and overlapping that they did, especially with the rocker panels and all that. And as we mentioned before, it has the the bolted on front subframe. So it has to be stronger because that piece is just bolted in rather than welded in like the Mustangs. So it's all interlocked. Or at least the Mustang is. It's all spot welds everywhere. Terry, Barry, have you used your SCT yet? I have not. What I'm waiting on, I have some things that I want to address. with that. When it comes time, I'm probably going to strip all this stuff off, all the black stuff here. And I don't want to do it till I get everything on the car and in place and, welded up and solid. But all this stuff's going to get stripped off. I've got some other areas that I'm going to strip off as well up front. And, we'll see how it goes. But I'm looking forward to using it. I know Robert he sent me some pictures. And I don't know if maybe he could send me some pictures on email and I could put them up. But he's got his car all stripped down, and he used that SCT, and looks really nice. I told him he should just clear coat it, just finish scuffing it off with some red Scotch-Brite, and just clear coat the car. Don't worry about the seams or anything like that. Just clear coat it. Leave it alone. Leonard, it's blowing sand right now. Okay, well, I don't know if that's good or bad. Depends how fast it's moving, right? And Bob Shoemaker, this Okie is late again. That's all right, Bob. I'm just glad you're here. Time for some coffee. Okay. I wanted to point something out. I don't know if you saw it or not. Let's see. Which shoulder am I? Okay. You see my little new license plate over there? If you can make that out. My buddy Wayne picked that up for me. 96 Rock. If you don't know, 96 Rock was an Atlanta station from 74 to, 2005 or something. Probably the best rock station in the South, or at least in Georgia, we know that much. And apparently they're in, I don't know, I think it was 2005. They got kicked off the air. They actually had these morning crew people who were pretty crazy, did a lot of crazy stuff, and finally the FCC or whatever said, "No, you're done, all done." Somebody pulled the plug, and they did away with 96 Rock. Well, the thing was, these tags, if you had one of those tags, typically, and I should probably have it inverted. People, as they would put the 96 Rock tag on their cars upside down, because the 9 and 6 you can invert them either way, right? So anyway, I've always wanted one of those, and my buddy Wayne picked that up for me along with a T-shirt. And I've been listening to 96 Rock now on iHeartRadio. And what's cool about it is they're playing music from 74 to 2005, I think, when they went off the air. So they're playing that format. Anything that was played in that era is now being played on 96 Rock. So anyway, if you get a chance, go to iHeartRadio and listen to 96 Rock. I don't know for sure if they're trying to actually get back on the airwaves. I really don't want them to. Honestly, I'd rather they just stay on the internet, because with being on iHeartRadio, there's like hardly any commercials. You hear them say 96 Rock or something, or have little tidbits of people talking, but you don't hear constant commercials. And I'll point this out. I don't know how many of you are familiar, in Georgia, and I don't know how big this company is. There's a jewelry company called the Shane Company. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Shane Company. And then raise your hand again if you absolutely hate hearing the commercials for the Shane Company. I don't even turn my radio on in my car anymore, because it's just constant commercials. At least it feels that way. And the other day I was driving around and I had my radio off, and I decided, let me just turn the radio on just to see. Turned it on. First thing that came up was a commercial for the Shane Company. Tom Shane, Mr. Friendly. He always says, you've got a friend in the diamond business. Click. Turned it off. I'd rather just not even listen to anything than to listen to those kind of commercials. Rick Stevenson, I'm going to have to get one to strip down the cab on my son's 74 F350. Yeah, they should do a good job. I know Robert was giving me some information on how to use the one I have. But I'd like to see, if I could, I'll share some pictures of what Robert had sent me. But we'll see. Doyle, work late. What did I miss? Camaro, Mustang, Camaro, Mustang, and Camaro, and license plate. So there you go. You're all caught up. Troy, I missed your license plate. I listened to 96 Rock when I went to the Atlanta area. Yep. Yeah, it was definitely the station to listen to. And what really is kind of cool about it, um, what's really is kind of cool about it was when I was in the military and I was stationed at Fort Benning, uh, back in the 85 to 88 is when I was there. You could just pick up 96 Rock if you were, you had the right kind of, we would run wires up and make an antenna or whatever, or if you were in the right location, um, in Columbus, Georgia, you could hear 96 Rock, but then you'd lose it. So, that was a treat if you could get it tuned in just right and hear 96 Rock. So, I ended up, when went out of the military. I went to A&P school for aircraft maintenance, and ended up coming back to the Atlanta area and picked up 96 Rock again. And I was just so happy that the station still existed. And of course, um, if you were up in Pennsylvania, you would be listening to WDVE. I think it's 102.5. I think that's the station listened to up in the Pittsburgh area, WDVE. So Troy raised his hand. Yep. Tom Shane, no. Shane, for the record, I'm not associated with the Shane Company. I'm my own Shane. Yes. Funny part is that's my oldest son's name. Is Shane. Chris BMW, 1977 Buick Electra 224 four-door, yay or nay? That's a good question. Now, when you say yay or nay, what are you implying? Cool car? Yeah, it's still, a V8 rear wheel drive. Depends on the condition of the car. I mean, let me see if I can just get an idea. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not a bad car. I mean, it's on the end of, um, let's say the end of the cycle, because I know that as they went forward, the cars got smaller, so it's still kind of big. It depends on what you want to do with it. You know, would it be something I would drive? Nah, probably not. But that's not up to me. It's up to you. And if it's one of those that only has like 35,000 original miles on it, the interior's perfect and all that stuff, if you get it cheap enough, why not? Then you could rent it out as a movie car. They always need older cars like that for movies. So, might be a good idea. Larry Bibby, hello Barry and gang from the Flyover, Nebraska. From Flyover, Nebraska. Barry, how's that rear lower valves on the back of the Camaro coming along? They look like a real pain in the hind end to me. Um, well, uh, I haven't done anything with it just yet. I've got to get I'm still test fitting pieces and parts. But yeah, all those spot welds, it's still mind boggling that they put in all these 140 spot welds on a tail panel. It's no, it's crazy. Aaron, my buddy just picked up a Trail Duster project car. Seems like a neat little truck. Yeah, Trail Duster. Yeah, that's a pretty cool vehicle. Those are becoming more and more popular. Um, it competed with the Blazer, the full size Blazer and stuff, and of course the Broncos. Um, yeah, Trail Duster. I'm okay with that. I like those. Terry, I'll be using ours in the 50 shoebox. Oh, on the 50 shoebox. Talking about the SCT? Okay. Crash Starter, you forgot to tell him truck. Forgot to tell who? Truck. What am I talking about? You lost me. Bob Schmaker, I'm right with you on commercials. I mute the TV all the time. Yeah, there's so many times what I do now is I just put it on because we don't have satellite TV anymore. Uh, we use a Roku stick, and we record what we want to, basically record shows we want to watch. Probably the only thing that I really record is BattleBots. I don't know if you ever watched BattleBots, any of you, but I love that show. Destruction of remote control robots in a arena. I love that show. But that and The Curse of Oak Island. That's another one I record. Even though I'm tired of that show, I've been tired of it for years. I still record it, and then boom, I when I watch it, I can just hit fast forward, get to the important part, fantastic, move on. So yeah, I just skip ahead through all that stuff. Chris, thank you for answering. You nailed it. Now, there was a car we had. I don't know why. I was fixated with a car for a period of time that my dad had up at the junkyard. It was like a 70, gosh, 77, 78 Dodge Monaco, I think is what it was. And I don't know why. I really like the looks of that car. Let me see if I can pull it up to see if it's. Yeah, that was it. It was pretty much like a 70. Maybe it was a 78. I don't know, but it was kind of squared off looking. I'm just kind of clicking through the numbers to see what it was. It might have. Well, no, I don't know for sure. Anyway, but it was a two-door, and I don't know. I just liked the way that car looked. But anyway, I like some of the big cars from the 70s and into the early 80s, but probably not going to go out of my way to get one. Leonard, it must have been a Friday build. I don't know. I haven't checked with anybody else. But see, here's the thing. I did now the black Camaro that I did, somebody else had already put quarters on it and a tail panel, and they just ruined it. They really didn't do it right at all. So all that stuff got taken off and tossed. But I also did a 69 Camaro at the body shop years ago. And I do not remember it having all of those spot welds everywhere in that center section for sure. I don't remember all that. Now maybe it did, but I don't remember. Oh, Crash Rider saying Doyle. Okay, so. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention truck. Sorry, Doyle. Trying to update you. Truck. Thank you. Taylor, I've been getting behind on the Camaro build, been busy installing new parts on my dirt bike. Anyway, watching from Saskatchewan. All right, thank you, Taylor. Glad you're here. And if you get bored, if you're like missing out on some stuff, you can also go to the other Camaro build, the black 68 Camaro that I built. That was years ago I did that one. So there might be something in there you could use as well. In fact, the the black 68 that I did, I'd put quarters on it, tail panel, wheel houses, and then I basically sold the car, and then I worked on it some more. I put mini tubs in that, the Detroit Speed mini tubs, and it was turned out really nice. So if you need some more information, go back to the black Camaro. Shane, when was the last time you were at a good old-fashioned demolition derby? I haven't seen one in many years. The last demolition derby I was part of, because we used to do that all the time from the junkyard. But I have to see if I have that video somewhere. I think I have a video. I did a demolition derby, me and Hindsight 6.7, back when we were racing. I did 2 demolition derbies. But this would have been back in the early 90s. And I actually had a sponsorship from Rhino Lining, which was really nothing. It was just putting their name on a car. But I took a 77 Impala, 4-door Impala, and trashed it. Didn't do any good. That was the last time That's the last time I even saw a demolition derby. And what was interesting, that one was broadcast on TV. I think it might have been on TBS or something. Yeah. Yeah, we know TBS isn't around anymore, or I'm sorry, TNN, TNN, because I have that big poster on the wall that says TNN that I found. I found that banner. Just found it. Jersey Mike, what is a SCT? Okay, well, since you asked, let me see if I can dig it out. It's actually sitting on my bench over here. See if I can get it without knocking things around. This is what we're referring to as the SCT. Surface Conditioning Tool, down here, SCT. This is something that Eastwood sells. Okay, Eastwood sells one for like $179. This is the Harbor Freight version, Bauer. And if you look, it's got this roller drum. Sorry, I can't tell which side I'm on. It's got these roller drums. They're 4 inches wide, different textures, and it basically strips off paint, rust, all kinds of stuff. And anyway, I bought this I don't know, a couple weeks ago with the intent of using it on the Camaro. They had it in stock, so I bought it. Let me see. Oh, okay. Let me download that real quick. Yeah. I don't know if Robert was going to send me those pictures, but anyway, it does a great job of stripping off paint, rust, and all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna show you a picture I got sent. If I can get it up here. So now you know what an SCT is. Robert, evening all. Jerry says hi too, and she is watching. Well, hi Jerry. Give you a bell for watching. Leonard, Swamp People. Oh, so you watch Swamp People? You record that? Yeah, I've watched that a little bit. I'm really not into it. Just not really in my wheelhouse. Okay, so I had a picture sent to me by. This is from Mike, and pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let me pull this up real quick. So he sent a picture of his engine bay, and it says, coming along. And I would have to agree. I like that radiator. That's a nice setup. Very cool. Thank you, Mike. Let's see, Aaron. BattleBots is a great show for the bots, and also some of the personalities. Also this week on Oak Island, they find more wood. Accurate. I watched that. I've watched that show from the start, and I think we all have an interest in it. Or well, I mean, as kids, you think about buried treasure, and you hear about stories and all that sort of thing. And I remember reading a story about that in a later version or a reproduction of the Reader's Digest or whatever. Because I think the first one they posted was in the '60s, and then they did a reprint of it later. I remember reading that because we used to get Reader's Digest all the time, and reading that story and go, "Wow, that's pretty cool. That's amazing." And now these guys are just dumping money down a hole, literally. They call it the money pit. That's why it's the money pit. I don't know. I'm sure somebody already found whatever treasure was there, and they're just digging it, reaching out and trying to pick up pieces. But man, I can't guess how much money they've thrown at that thing, and they're not going to find anything. If they do, I will be truly amazed, and I'll eat my words. But I don't see them finding anything. Troy, you forgot to tell Doyle about the trucks. That's what he missed. I got your crash rider. Okay. Sorry. Simone, we had a show back in the 90s called Robot Wars. Yeah, I think I do remember a show because they did a couple different variations. They had another one where it was like an arena where it had like a pit or something. You could push one into the pit and it was done. And then it had like um, control robots that were, they would have to like you would have to like attack the big robot and try to destroy it or whatever. But that show was interesting, but it's nothing like these BattleBot things, man. They're absolute carnage. Charlie saying Jersey Mike SCT. Yes, thank you, Charlie. Ralph, tail panel spot weld, Chevy answer. Wait a minute. Tail panel spot welds. Chevy's answer after dissecting the Mustang cowl reverse engineering. Yeah. There was 700 spot welds in this thing. We need to make it 800 or 900 or 1,000. Yeah. Yeah. Dawn, we record everything so we can blab forward through commercials. Yep. Now there's some shows that I just watch if I'm just wanted to be mind numbed, you know, I'll watch a generic comedy and just let it ride. I don't really care. But yeah, I get you. Larry Bibby says Tombstone BattleBots. Yeah, you know what? Tombstone is. Let me just say I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy. So every time he loses, I'm all like, yes, yes, and he's been losing a lot. His I don't know if he'll ever bring that thing back again, but the design, I mean, it only had. I mean, it was a very good design at one time, but now people have found that they can just break it and mess him up. So I get you, Larry. I mean, it's a destructive robot, but I don't know that I just can't. I don't like the guy. Doyle says rich Corinthian leather. Oh yeah, talking about the. It wasn't a Cordoba. No, it wasn't a Chrysler Cordoba. The rich Corinthian leather. It's funny. He just made that up. I think Ricardo Montalban, whatever. Hey, I think he just made that up on the spot. I don't even know if that was a real thing or not. Wade, like the '96 Rock Tag, listen to it all the time back in the day. Yes, and now you can listen to it on iHeartRadio. Give it a go. Check it out, iHeartRadio. It's there. Let's see. Dave, if you enjoy Oak Island, check out the book, The Hooked X by Scott Wolper. You could consider it the prequel to Oak Island. Okay. All right. Now you're telling me you want me to read a book? I don't. I don't typically read books. But it's probably a good recommendation. Thank you, Dave. Lawrence Hay just sent the latest pic. Got the motor and tranny mounted. Okay. Yeah, it looked great. It looked great. I'll just post that one more time. Yeah, it looks great. I know you're looking forward to driving that thing. Robert. Oh, so you're saying to Simone, at Hooked on Classics. BattleBots was hosted by Lister from Red Dwarf. That's something I don't know. Jersey Mike, maybe it was German over engineering on the panel. Yeah, it could be. But really, if it was over engineered by the Germans, there would be like 8 associated panels bolted to it with some one-off type of screw that you can only find in another country. It would have all kinds of interlocking junk. Yeah. So Simone says same here, Infernal. Okay. Robert, I have just about used up the black stripping wheel that came with mine. Need another. Okay. Well, for what you've put out, I mean, what you've done on that car, that's pretty good, actually. Simone, you have a much cooler name for that. Demolition Derby to you is a banger race over here. I've seen I've seen that and heard that, but yeah, Demolition Derby is so much. Yeah, we get the bell for that. USA, 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 USA. Jersey Mike says, thanks, Barry. Yep. Jorge checking in from Virginia. Thumbs up. Awesome. Glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. Doyle. I watch the Rush Brothers anytime a new episode comes out. Restoration of classic cars. I don't know that I've seen that show. Usually when it's my turn to watch TV, it's really not really my turn to watch TV. It's kind of, we watch shows together, my wife and I. And, you know, sometimes she'll tolerate me watching, you know, Graveyard Cars or something like that. But I don't watch, or like Ken Diggett. I like watching him. But the other ones, the Grease Monkey, no. That's just don't even bother. Don't even turn that on. Dino, hello from New Zealand. Awesome. I haven't seen that name before. Welcome, Dino. Glad you're here. Aaron, one of my favorite 90s shows around the same genre of Robot Wars was Junkyard Wars, where two teams built stuff out of things in a junkyard. Yeah. I had actually thought that would have been a fantastic show to be on, based on my background, of course, growing up in a junkyard. If I could have gotten me and my brother and my uncle, all three of us together on that, it would have been a good time. It would have been a good time, but just couldn't work it out. Okay. I'm going to download some pictures that Robert has sent me. And we're going to have a look at what the SCT can do. Let me get these loaded. Take a second. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. All right, so I got that one. But yeah, the Junkyard Wars, I look at all the stuff that we used to create at the junkyard, and I'm thinking, man, that would be, I don't know whatever happened to that show. I guess they just decided not to make it anymore. I don't know if the following was not great enough or whatever. And I mentioned this before. There was a show that I tried out for one time, and it was called Escape from Experiment Island. You could probably look it up and find it. And I tried out for that show. And I actually flew down to Florida, and I went through their interview process, and I made it through the first round of people that they wanted. And then they started giving us all these tests, like to see what you could do, they give you a pile of junk. What could you make out of this? And the whole premise of the show was find a way to escape from this island based on materials that are on the island. So you could build your own boat. You could, you'd have to, whatever. It was all kinds of different things. And so I'm going through all the testing, and apparently I was I was too good for this show. Because they wanted a 4-person team, and they wanted somebody who was like an engineer, somebody who was like a mechanic, somebody who was like an analyst or paperwork guy, and then somebody who was like a goofball that didn't know what they were doing. And so they, at the end of it all, I'm like looking the final cut of who they wanted, and I wasn't on the list, and I was like, okay, what did I do wrong? I asked them. I said, what did I miss? What did I fail? And they said, you didn't fail anything. That's why you can't be on the show. And I said, what? And he said, you're overqualified, because we needed you to be like a good mechanic or a good engineer or a good analyst. You know what I mean? And they were like, we can't have you. I was like, oh man, that's not fair. That's not fair. Okay. So let me just answer. Terry Baptist, do you remember when cars had 8-track players? Of course I do. And my brother had one in his car, and you used to have to put the 8-track in and take a matchbook and put in there to hold it so it wouldn't move and it would play right. Now Robert has sent me some pictures. So we're looking at, that was stripped down with the SCT. Let me take Terry's comment down real quick. So that was his car. He stripped down with the SCT. Here's another shot. So, I mean, I'm sure that was just, it just had paint on it. I won't say there was rust, on it, but I would say just the paint. And then there's the other side. And you got to turn your head sideways. That's the cowl. So, yeah, pretty impressive tool. And I'm looking forward to using it, the one I have. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you sharing that. All right, let me see what else we have. Shane, watching Oak Island is like watching Ghost Hunters, a whole lot of finding nothing. Yep, I agree. Okay, so Robert has said he's sent the pics and he's done more since then. Okay. Ish, only show worth watching is Joe Daddy's Garage. That guy will learn you. Thank you, Ish. Betty Keithley, just listening in. Awesome. Welcome, Betty. Glad you're here. Larry, yeah. Yep, Tombstone, yep. Yeah, I just don't like that guy. Gene, what's up, all? Glad you're here, Gene. We talked about you giving away the tip over jig, and I mentioned it on here last week. I didn't get any emails, and we if you're here new tonight, he had sent me a message that he was going to give away a tip over jig for a 65 or 6 Mustang, 65 6, in the Nassau County, New York area, up by JFK Airport. If anybody had wanted it, they needed to contact me, and he would work it out. We'd work it out. You could get it from him. But nobody responded, so sorry, man. Dave Conville, I don't read much either, but this one was worth it. It's a short book, lots of pics. Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. I look back and I think about that. There's a lot of people that read books. My wife will sit and read a book constantly. I just can't do it. I start reading a book and I'm like, I got to get out in the garage. I think the last book I actually read, the last full book, was called From a Buick 8, I think, and it was a Stephen King book. And that was probably 20 years ago that I read that book. And I still remember the whole storyline. But that was probably the last book that I read. Rick Stevenson, I usually download books on Audible and listen, usually while driving. That's a great idea. That is a great idea. I should probably do that, but I just haven't. Michael Pagliarini, do you have any coffee mugs for sale? Actually, if you go to my YouTube videos and you go to underneath, there's a banner that has, let me see if I can just pull one up on my own. There should be a banner at the bottom of the video that has a link to Teespring, what they now call Spring. And these are sold on Teespring. And they come in different colors. But if you go to those links, and also if you go to my YouTube videos, and like up here in the banner, in the corner, there's a Teespring link. There's an Amazon link, so you can order stuff off of Amazon. Patreon link, and maybe something else. But anyway, there's 2 ways to get there. You can get there from those pieces up in the top, or you can go underneath the video where it has a banner that shows shirts and stuff. You can click on that, and it'll take you to my Teespring page. So thank you, Michael, for asking. Michael Austin, hi, Barry, from the Hoosier State. Who's your daddy? Joe Daddy. Glad you're here, Michael. Leonard, where can you find the replacement drums? Actually, Robert had sent me links on that as well. There are drums available on Amazon. And I think any 4-inch drum, they're all designed the same from what I understand. They're all interchangeable. So there's links for Amazon. In fact, Leonard, here, Robert says, says Amazon, Empire Abrasives, and Harbor Freight when they get them in stock. So there you go. Quick answer. Thank you, Robert. Taylor, Rust Brothers is such a great show. I really enjoy it as it's finally a good Canadian car show. Okay, I've not seen it. I did watch. There's a show called Full Custom Garage. I think the guy's name is Ian or something. I think very soft spoken. Builds random stuff, which is kind of cool. But I don't remember. I think it's called Full Custom Garage. I think. All right. Gwen says hi. Hello, Gwen. Leonard, Robert, how heavy is this? I've watched guys use it, and they say it's bulky, but it did the job. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I feel some weight to it. I can't say how much it weighs, but it's not like it's a generic plastic machine. It feels really well built. Kenneth says, "Ouch." Okay. Aaron, I got cut because you would have been a ringer. Yeah, that was basically what they were like. We can't have you. I said, okay, nothing I can do about it. Oh, Kenneth says my '68 Pontiac had an 8-track. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean 8-tracks are they had their time. Aaron says asking about it says asking Robert, it even got into the cowl well. So Robert needs to, if he can respond to that. So he used a nylon brush and a large brown Scotch-Brite wheel to get into the cowl vents. Yep. So there's your answer to that, Aaron. Doyle, Robert, which disc did you use? Okay, so there's another question for Robert. Michael, LOL 8-tracks, I still play them in the garage. Yep. I don't have an 8-track player. I mean, I do have one, actually, that was one that I found out of a 70 Galaxy. But it's not. It probably won't work. Thumbs up from Leonard. Awesome. Jersey Mike. Thanks, Robert. Okay. Boogie Bum. The Harbor Freight tool already went up $20 in price. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah. Well, they realized it was a good tool. So they're taking advantage of that. I'm sorry. Let's see. That was Robert. Terry says that's my wife, Barry. Okay. Well, I saw there was. I'm confused because I saw the other Keith Lee, and then Gwen Jarbo. Is that the wife? Is that your wife, Terry? Did she change her name on it already? Because Gwen says bedtime for me. Okay. Okay. Charlie. My wife ordered me to throw away the 8-tracks because they indicate how old I am. Well, yeah. And she thinks I did. Yeah, it's kind of like there would be, when people, they sell a car and they put the price way, way, way high, you realize somebody is telling him you have to sell that car. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll sell it. And they list it really high, so you can't sell it. Leonard says Tom Clancy books now there. Okay. Yeah, I just haven't been. I don't pull up a book. Robert says use the Amazon link. Okay. Oh, Robert has you have an Amazon link on your videos. Cool. So check out Robert's link. Terry Keithley, Barry, she's a cat lover. Where is your cat poster? No cat posters. Hey, but if she likes cats, I've got 2 cats she can have. Happy to give them to you. I'll even throw in $100. Dawn, I've watched a show called Rust Valley. Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. Robert says switching to the shop. Be right back. Okay. I wanted to show a couple things. At least, well, maybe one thing for sure. Let me see what I have here. I had a company contact me on Instagram. As I've said, I get stuff, people offer to send me a product and, ask me to check it out or endorse it or whatever. And for the most part, I kind of ignore a lot of it. I'm not going to, I have those little jump starters, the Loki Thor thing and the Hawkmen and stuff. I have two of those, and they keep sending me more like, we want you to do this one or that one, or would you be interested? I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't even respond. I just don't want to pile of stuff in here. But I want to show you this. I had this company send me this headband. You ever seen these? This company sent me this. This was Delphi Striplamp Pro. I did a little video on this on Instagram and on my TikTok. This thing is pretty cool. I'll tell you up front. This thing has 40 LEDs in this yellow band right here. I'm not going to turn it on at the camera because it's too bright. It also has this little light on the side. So when they send me some stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I'll try it out. Well, the other cool thing is it has a switch over here to turn it on and off, right? You can hit it on once, have this real bright, hit it again, it dims it a little bit, hit it a third time, and it turns this light on, kind of a spotlight, which I will say, this isn't the best. This little spotlight, it doesn't have like a cool narrow beam. It's kind of like, you can see the rings, you know what I mean? So anyway, and then you hit it again and it dims it. But there's also another switch. Has a little, like, it looks like a Wi-Fi symbol, but it's not. It's a motion sensor on the side here. So I'm going to turn this on. And when I tell you this is bright, I'll aim it at me because this is a really bright little light. But you turn on the motion sensor on the side here, and you can turn it on and off with your hand by waving it in front of it. This thing's pretty cool. But anyway, there's the dimmer. There's the spotlight. Dimmer again. You can see it's an LED because it's strobing. Anyway, so I don't know if I might post a link to this on my maybe Facebook page, or maybe post it on YouTube. But I will be using this thing because we can't have enough light in here. I can never have enough light. But I was really impressed how bright that is, and I don't know if I could get it. Let me just show you. If I turn the light off in here, see if it does this. Whoop. Anyway, you get the idea. There's those rings I was talking about. That's one thing I don't like, is that little set of rings on that. Anyway, just some information. Let's see. Let me turn this back here. Doyle. Don, that's the same show that shows. Wait, Don, that's the same show. The show's named Rust Brothers. Okay. Rust Valley, Rust Brothers. Doyle's a shop name. Okay, shop's name. Rust Brothers. Okay. Rick, I think that Rust Valley Restores is on either Prime Video or Netflix. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen them. I don't know why they don't call me. Could you make a show for me? Sure. I'd love to. Dave Britton checking in. Glad you're here. Taylor. I have to correct myself. It's Rust Valley, not Rust Brothers. I think Mike Hall, the owner of the shop, calls his shop Rust Brothers. He's out of British Columbia, Canada. Okay. Crash Rider, I remember when radios were an option and the only radio available was AM. Yes, I'm old. Well, you know, a lot of the trucks, I know in the 67 and 72 era, because I'm real familiar with those, they had a radio delete. And, you know, it was a plate that actually plugged into the opening for the holes. I assume they had stuff like that for the cars, too. But that, you know, I have several of those where it just has a radio plug off. Shane, that headlight band would be great while spraying a car. That's actually not a bad idea. Yeah. And in fact, you could probably, maybe, I don't know. It might be you could make it small enough if you played with it to make it fit around the cup even. So instead of wearing it on your head, you could use it on the cup. Not a bad idea. Jersey Mike, that's a cool light. Could use that at work. Yeah. Aaron, I thought you wanted to get sent a few of them, so hopefully they sent you more than one. They actually sent me two of these. They sent me two of these, so happy about that. Randall, book club tonight means I get to spend. Wait a minute. Book club tonight means I get to spend some quality time with the '67 Cougar Quarantina. Okay. Dave, are the headbands available through your Amazon? You know, I haven't listed them. I should probably do that. I will do that. Thank you, Dave. I'll post a link. to that. I'll put it in my Amazon, and we'll go from there. Sally, I don't know how to say that. Says hi. Hello, Sally. Glad you're here. But anyway, that was one of the things that I wanted to mention was this little light deal. I'm trying to think there was something else. Oh, here's a question, because I don't have an answer. So sometimes I have a question. You know that I rebuilt that 2004 Honda Civic, and it turned out fantastic. Car looks great. No problem with the car from that aspect. But I have a problem with it. I've been wanting to sell it, pass it on to somebody else, let them have it. And when I got that car, I was able to drive it around. I could start it up with the battery, a jump starter, and I could drive it around, no problem. And then I was able to drive it. I drove it in and out of the garage all the time. I drove it into the paint booth. I drove it up and down my street. I wanted to make sure, and everything worked. Everything worked great. And I went. This was a couple weeks ago. I decided, okay, let me get this thing out and just run it up and down the street. Maybe take it out on the road and get an idea of whether it needs anything else. Because, like I said, AC works. Everything works. So I drove it up and down my street. Felt good. Felt real good. Took it out on the main road. Drove it down the road about maybe a mile, half a mile or something like that. Got it up to speed, good speed on it. Everything was good. Turned it around. And I noticed when I turned it around, it wasn't pulling right. Like, it didn't feel like the transmission was pulling right. I was like, what is going on here? So I started heading back towards my house, and I didn't make it. I kept, was giving it gas, and it kept decelerating. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? This car was running fine. There's nothing, feels like nothing was wrong. So basically I had to actually get a neighbor to hook onto it. He came out and got me, and I was almost at my street. He hooked onto me, pulled it back, got it back to the house. And when I got it back, I could fire it up and move it. So I checked it, and I was thinking, well, does it have, is it low on training fluid? Because, I had taken it, pulled the radiator out, and it lost some fluid, and I probably didn't put enough back, or I didn't put any back. But I went and bought some training fluid, and it was only a little. Didn't take much. And it doesn't want to move right. You can rev the engine, put it through the gears. It'll act like it's trying to pull, and then it doesn't. So I was doing some, of course, I was looking up online, as I do. I was like, well, what problems with transmission in the Honda? Because, like I said, the engine runs great. Not a problem there. No lack of acceleration. I see. Robert said first thought it was fuel filter. No, it's not the engine. It's the transmission. And as it turns out, those cars had issues. I didn't know that. Now, it has something to do with the shift solenoids, like they get gummed up or something, and they get stuck in the sequence. It's like they don't fully make it out of one into the other. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided. I haven't had time to mess with it. So it's just been sitting up in the driveway. But that's something I need to address. So if anybody has any input on that, let me know. If you have any insight, you can send me an email or something, um, and we can go from there. I'm going to send Robert an invite. Sorry, Robert, I didn't see that come in. I didn't see that come in, so I sent you an invite. Um, but anyway, that's where I'm thinking is it's something to do with the solenoid. Taylor, on Thursday, I remember channel TNN. I used to get up when I was a kid and turn it on to watch Dukes of Hazzard, and they also did Monster Jam. Yes, yeah. Well, if you've seen some of my videos, there is a banner on this wall, the walls I'm facing, and it's TNN Motorsports. It's a banner that I found somehow, and it's been on my wall for quite some time. It might even be collectible. I've had people offer me money for that banner. Um, I decided not. I like it on the wall, so I don't have it. No, not selling it. I see you, Robert. Let's see, Aaron. I bet you could swap. You could get a rebuilt solenoid pack for it and just swap it. Yeah, that may be what I have to do. But I was trying to get as much information as I could to see, what's going on with it. All right, let's see what Robert has for us tonight. Welcome,
Hey, how's
Robert.
it going?
Good.
Hey, yeah, I'm still covered in dirt.
Okay.
I was doing a bunch more stripping on the back of the car. I was like, originally I was just like, I was just going to do the bottom of the car. I'll do the bottom. I'll strip it. I'll prime it. I'll paint it. Then I'm like, yeah, just let me just go ahead and strip everything off and prime everything that I can get to, and just some of it I'll have to go back and redo because I'll do something here and have to, but the majority of the work will be done at that point.
Right.
So, and then I had to go pick her up at the train station from the airport. So, yeah, that's why I was a little late. But asking about the drum that I've been using, that's how much I've got left. And I mean, considering the amount of work that this thing has done,
Yeah.
that's not bad. And essentially, and if you guys don't know, the stuff that's on that is the same thing. Almost lost. It's the same thing that's on these little 3M, um, or some kind of, they call them polycarbide abrasives on some of them, and there's a bunch of different names. But the 3M ones, to be honest, there's not really a knockoff of these that is any good that I found. The drill mounted ones, and I say the drill mounted ones are really good for the little nooks and crannies. The little hard to get to spots. You got the ones for the
Right.
grinders work great, but you're asking about how I did the cowl and the cowl vents. I did the big flat areas with this on the SCT to get into the little grooves. I actually start out with a smaller one of these to do around the perimeter of each one, where it kind of
Right.
steps in a little bit, and then to do the the actual little get in between little grooves was another one of these 3M ones. This is a brown Scotch Brite, so this is not nearly as abrasive, and this one, it's soft enough that as you're using it, it'll kind of conform to the slot you're working into, and it'll
Right.
get right down in the slot, and you can go and get almost both of the ends. Where it kind of curve. Well, where it makes that curve like this. At each end of that little hole, and
Oh
this
yeah,
thing
like
will,
the
yeah,
cutouts.
yeah, and the cutouts, yeah, and this will work. This will just work its way into that shape. It'll get most of it. It won't get 100% of it, but it goes really fast. And the only thing is don't push down, because those things are so flimsy. You just kind of, you just run it back and forth and let the tool do the work, and it cleans up pretty well. It really does. For the very edges of it, I used a very small wire brush. Um, there's ones I can't get anymore. These little USA made. They're only about that big, and they're replaceable. You put them on a mandrel type, and they're stiffer than the normal ones. I have no idea where to get them anymore. I really don't. I've got a few left, and that's it. Um, and then so for some of the other stuff, around the cowl, I'll use these too.
Okay.
This just that nylon. It's a plastic wire brush.
Yeah.
Uh, I like using these to get the majority off, and then switch to these, because cost versus work done. This will do all of it. but this will get the majority of the material off, and then switch over to the other. And these are cheaper. These are half the price of the black wheels,
Yeah.
and you get it's a little bit slower, but for the cost wise, it works out really well that way.
I know I've had they make corrosion wheels in the aircraft industry. I call them finger wheels. It
Mm-hmm.
has little green, and I've used them. You know, you can buy them. You can
Mm-hmm.
buy those things, and I've used them, and those things work really well for getting into those tight corners,
Mm-hmm.
like you're talking about. Um, I want to show you a picture that I took. We were talking about how much junk, is when you start really looking at how thick or how big the opening is in between those.
I I remember the video you did of that. Yes.
Well, look at this picture.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the cowl on Jade, um, and I actually did a very tight close up picture of what was there. Look at this thing.
Looks like a jawbreaker.
It looks like a jawbreaker. I mean, there. I think I counted seven, 7 layers of material that were making up or covering the cowl, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just you could just break it off.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you're saying, you got to come up with different things to get into those little tight
Mm-hmm.
spaces, and a lot of people don't realize. They think, well, I'll just sand it down and just paint over it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can only put on so many layers of paint before it
Yep.
becomes an issue. You
Well,
know,
and then you have the other issue is, look at the kind of paint that's on the car. It was originally enamel. Ford used enamel. GM generally used lacquer. In general. But it's like I can take this gallon of acetone over here, and I can strip all the factory paint off the car with acetone. I can take it to bare steel with acetone. You just put that on there and let it soak, and that paint will come right off, and you'll wipe it down, and it'll be perfect fresh steel. Because and remember what is in our modern paints, and that's acetone. Acetone is the thinner for modern paints, and do you really want to put that on old paint that it can pull the old paint off
right?
essentially.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to use that on top of it. So people ask, well, do I need to remove all the old paint? I would, because they're really not compatible unless you're putting some kind of other layer of
A sealer
primer,
of
that
some sort. Yeah.
sealer in between.
Yeah. Um, I have a couple comments. Let me see. So it says Michael says I've run into something similar in the past. The wrong training fluid was put in. Try doing a drain and fill using Honda ATF. Okay, that's talking about the Honda.
I'll ask my neighbor because he was a Honda tech, and I'll ask
Okay.
him if he's got any bright ideas.
Yeah,
He's
because
probably gonna say replace the transmission. That's
yeah, I
probably
don't
what
want
he's
to do
gonna
that.
say.
So apparently, Robert, you were supposed to go out and get milk.
Yes, I will go out and get milk, and I'm going to get ice cream for myself since I'm going out too.
Thank you, Jerry. Bob is talking about try either K&W Transex or Seafoam transmission treatment. Yeah, it may be just that it's just gummed up because it's been kind of sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis, remember at the time you could get a reverb to separate front to back speakers by a millisecond. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Shane says a Honda tranny should throw codes if solenoids stick. Did you scan it? Actually, I did scan it, and then I deleted them all. So I was hoping I could reset it and it would work, but I'm going to have to try to get it to trip again. So good point. Sal Lee, where are there enough plans to rebuild the Chevy 33 engine with CNC? Where can I get one? I mean, enough plans. I would, normally you go to a machine shop to get all the machining done
Yeah.
and have it checked to see if it's got any cracks and that sort of thing, and then you can buy a 383 stroker kit. I'm not sure exactly where you're at in the system. If you have a existing engine you want to build, or if you have a 383 that needs rebuilt,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll usually get it bored at the machine shop. So
And it is hard to find a engine rebuilder machine shop anymore. They're far and few between anymore.
Yeah. Let's see. ELSDP. Hello, coffee drinkers. I know who that is, but I can't remember the name now. Michael, on Honda, you should check the ATF level with the car off and at running temperature, and a drain and fill is only about 3.5 quarts. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Doyle, the Honda transmission solenoid has screen filters you can clean. I'll have to look it up and try to get some more information on that. But thank you for that. Car guy Troy, what was the name of the aircraft stripper wheels you mentioned? Are you talking about the ones that I mentioned?
Yeah, I think that's one that he's talking about. Yeah.
I don't know what the technical name is for them, because I bought some. At a yard sale. Let's see if there's
I'm trying to remember which ones you're talking about because I think I know which ones you're talking about.
Yeah, these right here.
Yeah.
These things are fantastic. These are actually designed to remove corrosion from aluminum. That's what they're designed for. Yeah, see, Robert bought some too.
Yeah.
So you can buy these.
They are not really good on those cowl vents though. They tend because if you're trying to get into in the really corners, because you're sitting there working at it, the plastic will kind of get hot and gummy, and then you'll have resin.
Yeah, you got to kind of. What I used to do is get this spinning as fast as you can, and what'll happen is these little tabs will flare out, and then you can kind of just skim it back and forth and let the fingers work their way in.
I've got some really small ones, and some of them that are actually shaped like that, like a regular disc, but I didn't want to go dig them out.
Yeah.
Because I know where they are, and I didn't want to go get them.
This one is called a bristle disc. It says 3M Roloc bristle disc is what it says on the back.
This one says 25,000 RPM.
This one says 15,000.
This is a 2-inch or an inch and a half. This is small.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the 3-inch one. But anyway, Roloc bristle disc. And I don't know if I might have these. I don't know if they sell these on Amazon or not.
They have the 3M ones, but they also have the knockoffs. And actually, the yellow ones I have are 3Ms. These green ones, these are the knockoffs. They don't last as long, and they will lose a few of the bristles on the outside.
Yeah.
And
they definitely deteriorate. This one's actually breaking down too.
Yeah. And these are so cheap that. It's like, you go through 2 of them for every one of the 3M ones, but you're still spending less money.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I may have these listed on Amazon. I haven't checked, and I might have them listed. So, Car Guy Troy, good question. Gene says good night, everyone. Glad you're here, Gene. Don, Dennis, the rears are already delayed 1 millisecond, 1.13 feet per 1 millisecond. Or one, yeah. So talking about speakers. And Aaron says, I like a big Roloc disc. Yeah, that's all. It's a Roloc. Mm-hmm. It's a normal Roloc type of thing, but yeah.
And they've got several sizes of those, and you can even get them for your bench grinder. You can get 6-inch. You can get 6-inch ones to go on your regular, standard, instead of a wire brush.
Yeah.
To go on your bench grinder, and the same with these here. They actually have this kind of stuff for bench grinders as well. I haven't used those, but they're out there.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff out there. You just have to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times it's like, ooh, I wish I knew about that years ago.
Yeah. Taylor, it is really hard to find an engine shop, as most crate motors that make any power are just stupid priced. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a local machine shop here. They still build engine, or still do the engine work. They help me build like my stock car motor and a couple others that I've built over the years, and they're still here. They're still doing it. So,
yeah, it's like when my dad had retired from the Air Force years ago, there was a company in Fort Worth called AGAP, and they sold engines all over the country under Nationwide Engines or something like that. And they had stores all over the country. They were right behind Jasper in size at the time. And my dad was plant manager for them. And I missed that because I got the factor, whatever the discount was. And I mean, I could go in and get, a double roller timing set for like $12.
Yeah.
I mean, the parts were just dirt cheap. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, what was it? A long block 350 was selling for $550 at the time.
Yeah.
It was retail price was 550. And I forget what, it's just like, now it's just like, I wish I could have been able to buy a whole bunch of stuff back then and, just held on to it.
Yeah.
But, and fortunately, he has the book that the guy that started the company that has all sorts of information in it. Like just technical information on what fits what, decoding some of the numbers and a lot of, it was funny and interesting because he had the history of it. So he knows a lot of the stuff that, the books they say, oh, well, it's this such a casting number is this head. Well, no, because, and it's like with the GM ones, so casting numbers mean nothing. It's the little shape on the end of the head. Yep. That's what denotes the type of head, because they would reuse a part of the mold, modify it and make a new head, and they would change the ends, but the casting number is still the same.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of good stories about them doing a lot of the 428s and 429s and stuff like that. And they'd have guys come in and say, well, 454 is only say $600. Why are you wanting to charge me $900 for this or more for this 429? It doesn't fit production. We're a production shop. If we're going to set up and do 50 of them, we can do it for the same price, but we have to set up for this one engine. And on top of that, and he'd tell these guys, he said, hey, if you're going to do it, you better have a backup engine, because there's a very good likelihood that there's going to be a crack or, some non-repairable type damage to that. And most all the time that, you have somebody bring an engine in, they'd have to buy a head, they'd have to buy a block or a crank, they'd have to get one from somewhere.
Right.
And that stuff isn't just lying around. Because I remember they would pay, and this was years ago, they would pay $1,000 for a 454 core. That was their price on a core from a core supplier. Wow. So, you just imagine what some of these other engines would have been, the rare ones.
Yeah.
It could have been a fortune.
Well, I've got a 454 sitting on the floor over here, and I've got a 427, both from like the 1969 and 70.
And I think that 427 you've got, I think that's a gear drive cam. Remember the picture of it we had one time. I think that's a gear drive, which was actually a truck motor.
It could be.
Yeah, because there were some goofy 427s, and there were the different deck height and everything.
67 Stang is checking in. Glad you're here. Wes Perry. Next video on Camaro. Test fit passenger quarter and tail panel. Probably need to fit the doors as well to ensure quarter fit. Actually, the next video is going to deal with the outer wheelhouse on the passenger side and or the rocker panel on the passenger side. I have to replace it. It's bent, it's rusted through, and I'm going to have to replace it. The difficulty, as I mentioned earlier, is the way this thing is built. That rocker panel and the A-pillar. Like the A-pillar comes down, and normally you just think, okay, it just sits on top of the rocker, like the Mustang. Mm-hmm. It's exposed. You can just undo it and take the rocker out. Not the Camaro. It comes down, and then it's got like an extra tang that goes forward, and it's like a whole mess of things. So I have to figure out whether I want to remove that rocker panel or maybe cut it away under, like around the A-pillar, and leave that pocket of the it's tough.
Yeah, I know what you think, because
it's so stacked up that you almost have to destroy the A-pillar to get the thing out.
Well, and that was because and I know what you're talking about, because GM built their bodies pretty much the same way until they quit making rear wheel drive cars.
Yeah.
With all those overlaps and the A bodies and G bodies up until the late 80s were that way. And you start looking at things, and this is over that, and this is under that, and this goes to here. And
right.
And it's almost a point where you have to take the entire thing apart in order to replace one piece.
Well, let me just show you real quick. I get my perspective right. So this is the passenger, and the A pillar is like here. This piece is way up inside,
Mm-hmm.
underneath everything. So I'm almost considering cutting it here and just leaving that piece in place and then welding it all back in and still having everything else attached the way it should be. But I don't know if I want to, because I don't want to destroy that A pillar. It's in good shape.
Yeah, and I'm almost thinking that if you do that, I wouldn't butt weld it. I'd probably just just do that with it, make it come up underneath because that's all going to get covered up by the door sills, and a lap like that would be stronger in the long run than a butt
Well,
weld.
yeah, um, yeah. I see what you're saying, but I don't know that I could do that. It would because the rocker I can't stretch it. It's going to stay that shape, so it would have
Yeah,
to be a butt weld. But I could put a strap underneath.
yeah, and you
You
don't
know,
have a way to get in there to make that jog
right?
without
Yeah.
doing it with a hammer and funny blocks and
And
yeah.
that thing is thick. That is a thick piece of metal. So I get what you're saying. You can make a joggle,
Hmm.
but I don't know if I could really make a
But
good
doing
joggle.
yeah, trying to do it with hand tools and
Yeah.
yeah, it probably end up making it worse.
Oh, it's Gary. Okay. I have been waiting a long time for the basket case Camaro. So far, I have enjoyed the build. Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you, Gary. Glad you're here. I haven't seen you on here in a while. Simone is going to bed. That's good. Have a good night.
Yeah, it's kind of late there.
Yeah. Bob, all the shops are using crate engines and ready to install heads, so the traditional machine shops are losing out. Still
Hmm.
some out there, but kind of like me, a hobby shop more than a real business. Yeah. Yeah. And
Well,
you're talking about that company that the just under Jasper as far as,
yeah, yeah,
production
that
or
was
whatever.
yeah. They've been gone for years though.
Well, what I hate about Jasper is they just take in an engine. They don't even care what it is as far as let's say it has a historical value, or let's say it
Hmm.
has whatever. Here's this 350 Chevy.
Hmm.
Bore 30 over and go. It could be you could maybe do 10. You could do nope, bore it to 30 or bore it to whatever. They just go big and just say
Hmm.
we're done with it. Just don't worry about it. Just keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it
Yeah,
moving. And
and that was because when my dad was at the company there, and what was cool when the guy that owned it, when he first hired on there, his first job is okay, you're not going to go do your job right now. You're going to go to every section of this factory and learn how everybody does their job. You're going to start down at the back on the back dock where the engines are coming in the back. You're going to strip down engines. You're going to take them apart and you're going to put them in the ovens. You're going to bake them in the ovens to clean them. You are going to do every station in here before you do anything.
yeah,
And he said that gave him a much greater appreciation for the amount of work and what went into it and how
sure,
things were done. And because I mean, it was a big facility, it really was. And they had big, huge gas furnaces that the blocks would go through, and it was just I learned a lot from what he had learned there.
yep. Rick Stevenson, give me a good machine shop every time. Problem is finding a good shop. Yep.
Hmm.
Wes, good deal. Looking forward to video. Rocker install will be a good video. Outer wheelhouse as well. Yeah. And the thing is, the outer wheelhouse, that's a complicated mess too. Even on a Mustang, it's complicated because you have I don't know how to label it. It's a roller weld or a
It's the same
fusion
as a
weld
gas
or
tank.
however you want to label it. To where those two rocker panel or two wheelhouses are put together at the flange, and they're
Hmm.
not just spot welded. On the Mustang in particular, they use like a roller
Hmm.
that compresses it together and welds it. On the Camaro, it's similar, but it's a different type of design. There are spot welds, but they're like every quarter inch and also bonded together. It's like a complex. But the thing is, whenever you start looking at that and you think, well, how do I get the wheelhouse out? Do you really want to get the wheelhouse out?
Yeah.
When I did the Mystique video, I sectioned out the wheelhouse. I left the flange there, and I left the inner structure where the, let's say, C pillar would connect.
Hmm.
Um, I left that because otherwise you're destroying a lot of stuff trying to get it
Hmm.
apart where you could just weld it back together and be done with it.
Well,
So,
because it's mine on the driver's side. I had a couple of holes, issues here, and then a couple issues here, and then the very back was actually crunched up. But and I had bought one, and I'm sitting here looking at it like it doesn't fit at all to start with. It doesn't
right.
fit at all, and it got to the point where just like I'll just take some sheet metal, I'll bend over my own pieces, and I'll weld in patches, and that way I'm not having to fight with, oh, it doesn't fit the new quarter panel, or it doesn't fit anything.
Right.
And fortunately, on the drop off at the back, I needed about that much, and a friend of mine, he had gotten a quarter panel, outer wheelhouse, and tail panel all in one piece off of a car for his project, and he saved me that bottom half, and I just took that, cut it off, and welded it onto mine. So it fit perfect because it was a factory part.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Of course, we all know factory pieces are going to be better than
Hmm.
anything else. I know when I was working, again, doing a Mystique, I patched the passenger side wheelhouse. I made my own patch for that area. Um, but it's just the way those wheelhouses are, and I've shown this in videos on the Mustang. It's like, what did they make this fit?
Hmm.
Now, the other thing that's different on the Camaro, the C pillar as it comes down and joins. On the Mustang, if I remember correctly, the flanges face out. I think to where the wheelhouse, when it comes up, I think the flange for the C pillar sits on top, like it's facing out away from it. I think the Camaro, it's in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. Because
So
on the Mustang, it's curved this way, and it just sits, kind of hangs down.
yeah,
Actually, yeah.
exactly. And see on this car, it's not. It's they're tucked under
So now
and
you got to
welded
figure
together.
out where it is and drill holes in it to.
So it's just that's what I'm saying. It's you're probably further ahead, just cutting around the C pillar
Hmm.
and just bringing the new piece in and trying to weld it together. In fact, that's what the guy had already started. Um, and, and I'm going to highlight this as well. This is this is what the other guy had done. He
Yeah, it was
cut
attacked
off,
by a bear.
and I understood the premise. I understood it, but he cut this. I don't know if you can see it or not. It looks like he cut it with like tin snips.
Yeah, it looks like a bear went after it.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing something similar, but not like this.
Yeah. You're talking about that flange, between the two sides, and
What's
in
that?
your you're talking about the flange between the two, between the two inner and outer wheelhouse, about the way it's welded. It's welded like a gas tank. It's the
Yeah,
same piece of gas.
yeah. Seam
And
weld kind of thing.
in your video, you were talking about, well, just cut it and just leave it in place, because that extra bit of width is not going to make any difference in the world. Everything else is so out of place that doesn't matter.
Right.
If it pushes the quarter panel out that much,
Yeah.
nobody's going to know. I mean, you could go an eighth either way, and
Yeah.
nobody would know.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of
Well,
wiggle room.
the thing is, on this car, he removed behind where the C pillar comes down. He removed the flange. He actually broke those spot welds out.
Mm.
So it's kind of like now I got to kind
So
of
now
merge
you
and
have a step
modify.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll figure it out, but it's just one of those things.
I mean, you could go at it and grind that whole piece out, but why?
Yeah.
There's no,
It's
it's just wasted effort.
well, and the other part of that is there's another panel that attaches on the outside. So if you're looking at this side of the car, that
Hmm.
that panel comes down and attaches here. So it's stacked on top of the wheelhouse. So you have the inner, the outer,
Yeah.
and then this piece stacked on top of it. So you have to mangle this
Hmm.
piece if you're going to try to put that piece up inside. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just going to make a puzzle.
They were building tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Let's see. I'm getting a delay. Hold on a second. Wes, good deal. Looking forward to the video. Rocker install will be a good video. Other outer wheelhouse as well. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's going to work out pretty good. And 67 saying the basket case Camaro is a project I would never tackle. Excited to see someone bringing that old girl back. Well outside my skill set. Impressive work. Enjoying it. Yeah, thank you. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to jump into, metal. I had somebody make a comment on the last video I did for the Camaro, and they were hesitant about the idea of cutting, like I cut the sail panel and stuff.
Mhm.
And they said they could not make themselves make that cut. And I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. However, I look at it as it's just metal.
But once you start doing it, once you start cutting into it and doing it, it's not that big a deal anymore.
Right.
You've got to, once you push past that, I'm cutting into a whatever, and it's like watching these guys do conversions on a Cadillac into making limos and taking brand new
Yeah.
vehicles and doing that. It's like, it's that hesitance, like, okay, once you make that first cut, then it's like, oh, okay, just keep going
Just
at it.
keep cutting.
Yeah. It's,
But
you know,
I've looked at it as, like when you work with wood and you cut off a piece of wood, you're done.
yeah.
There's no going back. But to me, a piece of steel, I cut it off and it's like, oh, wait a minute. Let me get another piece of steel. Put it back together.
It's like when you're dealing with some of these, some patches here and there. It's like, there's this little pinhole right here. If I'm really patient, I can sit here and I can fill that hole.
Yeah.
Instead of me having to make it bigger and weld a patch in there, I can buzz it. I can buzz it. I can just keep buzzing it. It may back up a little bit on me. I may chase it a little bit, but I'm going
Yeah.
to win in the end. And then I'll grind it all off, and you won't know it.
Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So how soon are you getting ready to spray epoxy on your car soon?
Yeah, I've got a little more. I've got the cowl stripped. I've got I just did the deck filler panel, that's a piece of cake. With this tool, it's just and it just in those inside curves, it's great. You just zip, 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 a few minutes of work.
Yeah.
I did strip most of the tail panel, which I can't do at this point because the rotisserie is in the way. So I'll get to that when I get it off the rotisserie. But yeah, I'm gonna epoxy prime the bottom here pretty soon. Um, the front end, all the new black steel, which I'm still not really happy. I've been doing the normal Scotch Brite and sandpaper to rough it up, and I'm kind of hesitant on when I'm going to be happy enough with the amount of uh, crosshatch, actual abrasion into it
Yeah.
for the primer to stick. Because like everybody
Yeah.
says, they say, oh yeah, you can just do that and it's ready to prime, and I'm like, I still don't think that's enough hook into it to grab.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not too far off from that actually.
6-7 saying I just don't have that level of patience anymore. I wish I did. Would make life a bit less stressful. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to have patience
Hmm.
when you're doing stuff like this. Um, it can wear on you, and and I've said it before. Whenever I'm doing this stuff, I'll go to bed with the thought in my head of how do I approach this, and then a lot of times I just sleep on it,
Hmm.
and next day it's like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Well,
You know?
any kind of thing, any kind of project, you walk away from it a little bit, you come back at it, and you look at it. It's like you look at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Okay. I think we're getting
Yep.
close to quitting time.
Yep. And I got to go pick.
You got to go get milk.
I don't know what I did, but I'm bleeding for some reason.
Just now?
I have no idea what I did. I don't know.
What was that movie?
Something sharp found me.
What was that movie, Stigmata or something, where the guy just started having like sores and
Oh.
bleeding? And
Well, a friend of mine always have the saying, if you're not bleeding, you're not working.
well, yeah. Aaron says, don't forget the milk.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get milk because she has to have her her glass of milk with a drop of coffee in the morning. So, and yeah, you know how that goes. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I will see you guys later. And a bunch of my footage didn't happen because it didn't record. So,
That
yeah,
sucks.
I'll make something up. You know,
Yeah.
it's all my videos are made up anyway. All right, I
All
will
right.
see you guys later.
Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you later. See you. Okay, cool. It's nice to have Robert on here again. Nice to get some different perspective and input. Um, let's see. 67 Stang. I thought it only counted if you broke a knuckle or two when working on a car. Yeah. Rick Stevenson got to leave a little DNA on every job. Yep. Car guy Troy, my kids say it's not a project till dad bleeds. Okay, Dave Britton gives a thumbs up. Cool. Okay, we're gonna call it a night. You know, this has been fun. I know we've been doing this for a while now, and I'm gonna keep doing this on Monday nights for sure. I've said it before. Thursdays, it's just not working out right now. If I can do it, I will do it. But if you don't see a notification, it's not happening. So, thank you all for being here. I'll be back on Monday, and I'm putting out working on a video for what will be Saturday. So, thanks for being here, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.